now 11:04, and this meeting is now called to order. Heather, roll call, please.
Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mrs. Capo?
Here.
Mrs. Case?
Here.
Mr. Kushner?
Here.
Mrs. Wolf?
Here.
Oh, hey, Danielle. Welcome.
Hey.
Thank you, Heather. At this time, we need to begin our meeting with our action items. Due to the emergency executive orders placed by Governor Polis in the state of Colorado due to the coronavirus pandemic, we are faced with school closures, stay-at-home orders, and our regular meeting procedures are greatly impacted. We have called this special meeting to be able to put policies in place to allow us to hold electronic meetings and conduct our necessary board business. Our first item of business, item 2.1, is the approval of board policy BEAA. This will be the first and final reading to allow us to adopt this policy during emergency procedures. This policy allows us to hold electronic meetings as a board. Are there any questions or discussions regarding item 2.1? All right, would a board member like to make a motion to approve item 2.1? Approve
So moved.
policy BEAA.
So
Would a board
moved.
member like to second this motion?
I'll second it.
Heather, roll call, please.
Hey, just for clarification, the motion was made by Eric Adams and seconded by Jason Kushner. Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mrs. Capo?
Aye.
Mrs. Case?
Aye.
Mr. Kushner?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolf?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and action item 2.1 is approved. The second action item will be item 2.2, the approval of local disaster emergency. Sheldon, would you mind speaking to this?
Sure. This is just allows us to be able to access any emergency funds. It's probably not mute at this point because the governor has already declared it for the whole state of Colorado. But just in case, to make sure that we're eligible for support and eligible for disaster relief, I think it's wise for us to go ahead and declare it ourselves as well.
Okay, are there any discussions or questions for Sheldon about this?
No.
Board member, I'm sorry, Eric?
No.
Okay. Would a board member like to make a motion to approve item 2.2?
Also move.
I'll second.
Heather, roll call, please.
So for clarification, was our first motion made by Mrs. Capo?
Yes.
Okay. And second was by Jason Kushner?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mrs. Capo?
Aye.
Mrs. Case?
Aye.
Mr. Kushner?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolf?
Aye.
The ayes have the vote, and action 2.1 is approved. Our third action item, 2.3, will be to approve the recent extended closure placed by Governor Polis, extending school closures through April 30th. Are there any questions or comments regarding this item? Would a board member like to make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
Would a board member care to second this motion?
I'll second.
Second.
Heather, roll call, please.
For clarification, the motion was made by Jason Kushner.
Yep.
Who was my second?
You could give it to Eric.
Got it.
Like a buzzer system.
Vice President Eric Adams second. Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mrs. Capo?
Aye.
Mrs. Case?
Aye.
Mr. Kushner?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolf?
Aye.
The ayes have the vote, and action item 2.3 is approved. Moving on to agenda item 3, our consent agenda. Here you will see the approval of the minutes from our February 2020 regular meeting. Would a board member like to make a motion to approve item 3.1?
I'll move to approve it.
Would a board member like to second this motion?
Second.
Heather, roll call, please.
All right. For clarification, the motion was made by Jason Kushner,
Yep.
seconded by Eric Adams. Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mrs. Capo?
Aye.
Mrs. Case,
Aye.
Mr. Kushner,
Aye.
Mrs. Wolf.
Aye.
The ayes have the vote and our consent agenda is approved. Moving on to agenda item 4, our discussion items. Discussion item 4.1, paid personnel and response plan during emergency closures. Sheldon?
Yeah, the first one is that during the first 2 weeks of closure, actually 1 week, and then extended into this week, because we had spring break in between. We paid all of our personnel as they were, both classified and certified. Now, as we had extended time, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that we still plan to do that. I would like to talk a little bit about that, some of the contracted outside contractors on that and so on during executive session. But I would like direction, at least, not that you have to approve it, but direction that I would like to continue to pay both our certified and classified staff through the shutdown, with the expectation that if they're needed for jobs, as you know, our teachers are teaching, they're doing what they need to do, online school. We have other people doing things as well, helping with lunches, delivering food, doing still deep cleaning, using social distancing. And we will continue to use those services to support our teachers and our staff just in a safe system. And I'd like to continue on with pay and benefits for those groups, if that is the direction you want to go.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely want to go that direction. I feel like our teachers have been doing an amazing job of doing classes. I know the amount of lunches we've gotten out has been incredible, especially people reaching out to folks and delivering them. And I appreciate those people cleaning our buildings. So yeah, I definitely think we should both support the people and the economy locally. So I'm in favor of it.
I agree with Jason.
Okay, I'll follow that direction still. And then, like I say, I need to talk to you about a couple of other things in executive session. That it is outside contractors and that kind of stuff. But I appreciate that direction.
Good.
All right. Any more questions or comments for Sheldon or anybody else?
Okay, the second one on the list is the agenda planning for April 7th. On there right now, we have, it'll be a regular work session. So we will go back to trying to negotiate, having public comment and those sort of things to start with the meeting online, which will be interesting. And then we'll go into our discussion items. I would say that we keep it right now because we're having this meeting as a work session, which means no action would go on. No official action. We would just have discussion items. Our discussion items we currently have, we have the SWOT presentation by Tony Stafford, which was for this meeting anyway on our April 7th work session. That is one we have every year to receive our SWAT funds, and we're prepared to do that as well still. He will probably send us a PowerPoint early and then just answer questions on that, but we'll have that in the record. I'd like to give a cloud school report and overall school update, which include what we're doing is we have an idea of the graduation requirements, instructional time, evaluation. We have some information to give you on all those, and all those are in work in progress, but we can update you where we are at that time. In a work session now would be a good time to try to update you on those important developments as we go, and whatever else questions you have in cloud school or with anything that we're doing in the district, just kind of informational section of trying to update everybody of all the things that are going on without going too into depth on that, and then seeing where, of course, also an update on our nutritional services, and then also the board, what questions you have or what information you want to get out there as a board. That would be my suggestions for that. And anything else that you guys may want to go on with that board agenda.
Sheldon, I would like also, everybody's talking about graduation.
Mhm.
how, a lot of schools are postponing it until summertime, but we don't even know what the world is going to look like in summertime.
Mhm.
A lot of schools are thinking about doing online graduations. If you could just kind of keep us updated on what our team is talking about, our district team is talking about options for the big ceremonies and
Yeah, we could definitely talk about, what our things are. Chuck and I have talked about it a couple times right now where we definitely want to kind of see where we're at. There's so many variables out there, but we definitely want to try to provide the best options that we can, and also work with students and parents and what they would like as well. And so we're going to reach out in a couple weeks when we hopefully know more and try to figure out. But those are all option of having some kind of virtual type of graduation, and then maybe something later in the summer that makes sense, or just waiting till the summer or fall whenever we can have a great graduation. We want to make it the best we possibly can and as soon as we possibly can, but we also, obviously have to take in the risk factors and make sure that we can do all those things. And it also includes some of our other promotional ceremonies as well, as far as 8th grade and kindergarten and 5th grade and all those. What is the best way we can do to try to maintain that importance of promotions? And that's still very valued, but we also have to make sure we're safe.
thank you.
Sounds great. I think the agenda sounds good. I'm curious because we haven't met for a while because of all these technology restrictions and getting things approved with the law. So I know there's some public comment. Do we know how we're going to do public comment yet? Because I think that's going to be important.
Heather could talk to us maybe a little more. I'll let her clean up where I'm at, but we can actually use this, and that's why we're practicing today somewhat, is that we can have people on like we do now, and then they can, at the little bottom there, they have a raise your hand. They can raise their hand, and we can unmute them, and they're able to speak into the microphone, and so they can do their public comment. And so that's what we'll definitely try, and then it would be under the same guidelines of 3 minutes, identify who you are, 3 minutes, that kind of thing. But we are planning on being able to do that, and it looks like that we'll be able to do that. Anything else you'd like to ask, Heather?
I think the only thing that I wanted to add is that some of the other districts that I've been trying to talk with to see how they're handling this, especially with public comment. I think of like DPS, who normally has 3 hours of public comment at their meetings. They are doing email ahead of time too. So they're giving both options.
Okay.
They'll allow emails to come in with public comment up to 24 hours before the meeting. And then they'll also allow for the public comment via Zoom. So
and we send out that information, I think, as well. And so they could do that, and then we put that into the record, and people could just read the email if they chose to, because we have it as part of public record. So, it's a work in progress, but I think that we're very capable of handling it and working through that. So
great. I know that's been a lot to figure out. Thanks a lot, Heather.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. It's a lot more complicated than other board meetings. So thank you for taking all the time to figure it out that we're doing it correctly.
Thanks.
It's a lot of work. All right, Sheldon, are you ready to move on to discussion item 4.3, the LCDHE information regarding the COVID-19 school closures?
Yes. As you know, we like to use the word as like fluid and evolving situation and all those sort of things because it seems to go that quickly. As you know, as we just approved before, and thank you for approving that we're out of school till April 30th by governor's order. Many school districts are really concerned about why didn't we close it to the end of the year? It's really hard to plan. It's really hard to think of bringing kids back for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. What would that procedure look like? And so started basically yesterday, or maybe the day before a little bit, as many schools are checking with their health departments and feeling like that we should just call it for the rest of the year. Our county, both Thompson and Poudre were the first 2 schools to do that. I chose to wait until I talked to you guys. And the health department has released a statement saying that it is recommended to school district to consider closing for in-person learning through the end of the year. We expect a surge in the community to take place in the end of April. Well, that's when we'll be hitting the highest surge, is what the models are showing for Laramie County. There's actually a meeting going on right now about showing those surges. And so with that information, they are recommending that keeping students out of school and continue virtual learning options is a good option. Even if we said we could come back to school, if they had shelter in place, we could only bring 10 kids in at a time. There'd be a lot of other things. So it's something we could look at. I heard that 14, I was in a meeting this morning, that 14 metro districts are calling it for the rest of the year today sometime. I don't know which 14 districts they are. They said the 14 metro districts. I see this as a trend coming through. Now, I think, remember, we're not canceling school. We are just suspending in-person learning. So that means that, and with accordance to the guidelines by the health department. So if they did happen to lift something and we could come in and have kids check out 10 at a time or something like that, that is all still possible. I suppose that if everything went perfectly great, we could still hold graduation fine, all those different things. If it's safe, it's safe. If it isn't, it isn't. It doesn't really do that because we're not canceling school. We're just canceling how we're doing it. And so I'm torn both ways. I hate to cancel it already, but in reality is 99% chance we'll be out anyway. And it just allows us to plan, and people understand, the teachers understand the long-term benefits of that. That does not mean like right now we could actually bring in 1-2 kids at a time. That doesn't mean we can't do some things if everything goes as well as we possibly could. So that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to hear your discussions and what your thinking is on that.
My
Yeah.
thought would be that we
Oh,
should
go ahead.
my thought would be that we should probably look at it from the perspective of admin and teaching staff and the planning that they need to do, one way or another. If they feel like they're on the edge all the time, which way are we going to go? My thought would be, of course, to err towards health and safety, and to help our staff be able to plan and know that, say, we're not going to do in-person learning through the rest of this school year. I guess I would lean towards that, rather than hoping that it might come in. If we're having a peak at the end of April, remember that's just a peak. How long, if we're going through the month of April on the upslope, then we'll have a downslope on the other side of the peak, which would last through May. So my thought would be that we need to call it for the rest of the school.
Sorry. Sheldon, what are the benefits and not benefits of us calling it before the governor calls it? Should we wait until the governor calls it for all of Colorado, or should
The governor's not going to call it, obviously, until April 30th.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to wait till April 30th for the governor.
Yeah, we all assumed that he was going to do it 2 days ago. And the districts thought he was going to do that, but he's very stringent for probably very good reasons to only do 30-day orders.
Yeah.
And that's his policy, which I respect and understand. But he also is very open that he does not plan the school being back in session.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't plan that there will be, even if we didn't have a ban on in-person learning, if we still have any sort of home or social distancing or all that kind of stuff, we probably still couldn't come into school, right, as we see it now. And again, we could still follow those rules. Whatever those rules are, we could follow them no matter what the situation was, because we still have local control and could do it. And we could bring kids in 10 at a time and let them get their stuff and hand in their computers if it's possible, if it is safe to do so. We could still hold a graduation if we met all the other regulations. We're not saying we wouldn't do that, because we're not suspending school. We're suspending on how we're doing it and the planning for that. So I think it gives us the flexibility either way. I think it'd be very hard to come back. What are the rules coming back? How do you clean the devices? How do you do it? No one has come up with a way that we could even come back of what that would look like. And with that short time period, I think it's probably, even, the governor is even saying that probably for sure not going to happen if we will come back.
I'm curious, do you know how the staff feel? Like, would they prefer to know sooner, or where they are feel how they're feeling about it?
I do not know. No. It just came out sort of yesterday. We really predicted that it would be called for the rest of the year on Wednesday or whenever the press conference with the governor was. That's what the schools were shooting for. But when that didn't happen, and now we're in, the superintendents need to call that. So I can sure check with them. I have a meeting Monday. I could send out some stuff of what they're feeling. But also, I mean, I think looking at the projections of Larimer County, I mean, we have a recommendation from the health department to close the rest of the year. That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sheldon, the districts that have, I've been reading a lot about it, and the districts that have made that announcement already, it's definitely split on how people feel about it. If we do make that decision, I think it would be important to also list all the other districts in Colorado that have made that decision as well. So, because I know that the first few that did it came under a lot of fire because people are like, why do you have to be the first one? But if we do make this decision, there's probably going to be a lot of districts to list that are doing it out.
I assume I mean, today, supposedly a lot of schools are going to be announcing it. I think, in our case, I don't think we have to get in a hurry. I mean, I could check with our staff, I could check with our principals, and then we could decide this on Tuesday. That's why I wanted to bring it on your radar today. I mean, I'm very supportive of the other schools in my county and also the health department, Larimer County Health Department. But again, we could sure wait until I get some feedback and talk about it put it on the agenda for the meeting on Tuesday and finish this up.
Okay. Yeah, I would appreciate the feedback from our teachers and staff and community if possible.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the hard part is, it's the predicting of where we'll be, but the idea that we won't be major social distancing and still probably be a stay-at-home order in May is probably unrealistic. And a stay-at-home order is exactly the same as a school order, realistically, because if you can't meet in groups of 10, you're not really holding regular school. Right. So, and that order will probably come down earlier. They'll probably, because they're doing 30 days at a time, like mid-April, they'll probably do another 30 days on the shelter in place, or if they go that extreme, or the stay-home order, that's expected as well. So, it is what it is either way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Any more comments or questions for Sheldon?
And again, this isn't a thing that you guys necessarily have to do. I can actually call this and do that, and you would just approve it at the end. So we can necessarily have some more conversations about it.
Okay. Thanks for all your work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sheldon. All right, now we will be going into executive session. I want to thank all the people that joined us, our community members and our staff members. Thank you all for being here. And we will now enter into our executive session to discuss personnel matters in accordance with CRS 24-6-402 4F, CRS 24-6-402 4E. During the executive session, the meeting will be locked and all public participants will be removed. The only participants in this meeting will be our Board of Education members, Superintendent Rosenkrantz and Executive Assistant Heather Gooch.
Okay. I just wanted to mention, so with this new Zoom feature, for those that are listening at home, I will be removing you to the waiting room for Zoom. So you will stay in that waiting room unless you actually disconnect from the meeting. And when we exit executive session, you'll be added back to the meeting. So if you do want to stay for the rest of the meeting, I will add you back if you're still in our waiting room.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, we have two back.
Okay.
All right. Should I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, for our guests here, no action was taken during our executive meeting. No actions can ever be taken in executive meeting. I'd like to move on to number 6, any other. Do any board members have anything else to say before we adjourn?
Thanks for all your work, Heather and Sheldon, figuring out digital meetings and keeping us up to date, the law and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say, yeah, thank you. It's it's a complicated thing to do these meetings the correct way. Also, I want to say to everybody, we spoke to Heather about this as this meeting first started. They're having problems with Zoom and hackers and doing inappropriate things on public meetings while the meeting is happening. Heather will immediately end a meeting if she sees anything weird happening. There's been a lot of hate, like crimes happening, public meetings, especially like with school boards. So if any of you are watching our meeting and we just go blank, it means that somebody hacked into us. Hopefully they're fixing that problem at the Zoom level, but just in case. So if all of a sudden we're all gone, that means that somebody got in.
Like I say, we have enough filters and things that would be difficult to do because we're running through our filters, but if it does, we would have to do that, yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and thank you all for all your hard work. And anybody else have anything else to say? No? May I have a motion to adjourn this special meeting?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
We don't need a second for that. And thank you all for your participation in our first remote meeting. And we will meet again remotely on Tuesday, April 7th at 11 o'clock. And this meeting is now adjourned with my new gavel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, enjoy your families and stay safe, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.